Vicki Hogarth, and welcome to Southwest Magazine. The St. George Animal Shelter does incredible work for our community. Here to tell us all about it are Rebecca Eldridge and Sherry Gallagher-Eldridge. Thank you both so much for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Amazing. Can we start off by just giving us an overview of the St. George Animal Shelter and the incredible work you do? I know some people in the community are familiar, but I don't think they know the breadth of what you take on.
Absolutely, yeah. Sherry, do you want to start?
The shelter was founded in 2018 by Dr. Melanie Egan. We have been operating since then with a board of directors and volunteers, and during that time we've rescued close to 2,000 cats during our time, and it's growing every year. More cats, more cats. So we are at the point now where we need to grow and we need help growing.
And when you rescue these cats, obviously they sometimes need a lot of medical treatments as well. Can you talk to us about some of the scenarios you encounter when you are rescuing animals?
Yeah, basically when cats are surrendered, people don't always surrender healthy animals. They're surrendering them for a reason. So that means they're going to need blood work, x-rays, dental work, and all of that gets very expensive. But even a kitten, people think a kitten, oh, it's easy to adopt a kitten, but the kittens need their vaccines and need flea treatments, deworming, and they need, if they come in too early, they need foster care until they're ready for adoption. So we're talking weeks and weeks of care. And when they're not healthy, which we just lived through an outbreak of panleukopenia, which is a devastating disease on kittens. It's highly preventable if the animal is vaccinated, but a lot of people don't vaccinate. So when their strays come in or when they're surrendered, they can already be sick, and if they're nursing, they've passed it on to their kittens. And that hit us about 2 months ago. And as a result, it was a nightmare for us. We had sick kittens dying, and the costs involved to treat them is astronomical. And it's one kitten in particular that we just dealt with. We've had him probably for about 6 weeks. We got him when he was so tiny, he and his brother, and he just wasn't getting better. So we sent a sample out to the lab, a fecal sample, and it came back that he had toxoplasmosis, coronavirus, and panleukopenia. So now we know what we're dealing with, but we don't always have the ability or the finances to send every case to the lab. So a lot of times we're trying different antibiotics, different treatments until we find what works. Mm-hmm. But it just takes a lot of time, a lot of people, and a lot of money.
That's it. I think a lot of times we take for granted the nonprofits in our community and that they need finances to continue the work that they do. We appreciate them being here, but don't realize that so much of this has to come from donations. Can you talk, Rebecca, a little bit about where some of your resources come from now and what the need is, and also how people at home, if they're watching this, can help?
Absolutely, yeah. So we're very, very fortunate to have Dr. Melanie Egan, who owns the St. George Veterinary Clinic, donate a huge amount of her time and money and resources in supporting the animal shelter. So she's a huge part of why we're able to get by day to day. We also rely a lot on donations from the community, so oftentimes we'll put out a call on social media for, if we have a particularly tough month, as Sherry mentioned, with, sick cats or anything like that, and our vet bills are, much higher than we're expecting, then we are so appreciative. We do often get a very big flood of donations in those moments, and it really just goes to show how much community support there is for having the shelter and for doing these things. But yeah, we're always applying for grants and through foundations for money. But it's really tough to have consistent funding that extends beyond the day-to-day. So what we were just chatting about actually is kind of right now running a bit in survival mode because we're just trying to get the bills paid day to day. And in those cases, it's really difficult to grow. So as Sherry mentioned, there's more and more cats every year. There's an upward trend every single year of cats that are dropped off to us or cats that we need to find homes for. So it just gets harder and harder each time. So right now, if you're watching from home, then definitely any size, any amount of donation really helps. But we're really trying to strive for something long-term as well. So we've begun a plan to start approaching corporations to try to get corporate sponsorship. We do have very exciting goals for the future. Within the next year, we'd like to have a building built. Right now, Dr. Egan is donating space out of the St. George Veterinary Clinic for us to have cats stay there right now. We also rely on a network of foster homes, which are a group of amazing people donating their time and resources. It's not always easy either. If you have, for example, kittens that need to be bottle fed every couple of hours, which Sherry was just doing last week, up all night, bottle feeding kittens and working a full-time job. So, when we don't have very many volunteers or enough fosters, then it does become a lot for people who are on the board. Sherry often takes cats home. Other members of the board take cats home because we do have a never say no policy. So we're trying to uphold that as best we can. But folks at home, if you're interested or if you think that fostering might be something that you'd like to do, or hosting a fundraiser, anything that's going to help us generate a little bit more income that might help us in the long term, those are things that we're really hoping for right now.
I don't think people realize how much it costs to run the shelter. On a good month, our expenses are probably $6,000. On a bad month that we've been dealing with the panleukopenia outbreak, we're up to $11,000, $12,000 a month, and that takes all of our donations and our adoption fees, and eats that up very quickly.
It makes it hard to grow,
Yeah.
definitely. And so the best way, let's say it's just an individual watching, is to go through your website, stgeorgeanimalshelter.ca.
Yeah.
Is there a donate button
Yes.
there if someone's...
Absolutely, there is. Yeah, you can donate through e-transfer, or you can drop off checks or cash donations to the St. George Veterinary Clinic. If you have time or money to donate, we will find a way to make it easy for you, for sure.
And all are tax deductible, so
Yes.
we do provide a tax receipt for any donations.
And you mentioned the possibility of corporate sponsorship too.
Yeah.
How do you see that working out if there was a business that wanted to be a corporate sponsor?
Absolutely. So this is really exciting for us right now because we've been trying to fundraise to build a building of our own for a very long time now. We do have a plot of land already, and we have a building fund started. So we are making progress, which is great. But we're currently putting together a package to approach local businesses in terms of not only just financial support, but also if there are any businesses willing to provide in-kind support like services, thinking about anything that it would take to construct a building in terms of materials, or putting in septic systems or putting in electrical, anything like that we're definitely hoping to find some folks who might be interested in supporting in that way as well. In terms of a long-term kind of strategy, we're really trying to work towards those larger sum donations too, so that we can really make progress. And our goal is to have a building by September 2025. So we're going to be definitely updating the public and letting folks know as we're approaching our goal. And businesses are going to be key to that, I think, as well. So
this is a goal we can all strive for as a community. For those who might not have the financial means to donate, but they do love animals, you mentioned you have a foster program. And it was funny, before we started filming, we realized our cameraman today, Lucas Kohler, he and his mom have been a foster home for and now adopting kittens from the shelter. How does someone get involved with fostering animals if they have the time and the loving home to do so?
On our website, there is how you can help tab, and it tells you how to click on there's a foster home application. It's very short. Then I follow up with a phone call. We talk just to make sure that its situation is right for the kittens or cats, and you can choose whether or not you want to just foster kittens or older cats, troubled cats. You can be very particular. Sometimes it's only a weekend we might need you for. Sometimes it's the duration of a cat's pregnancy, which, 8 weeks till they are ready for adoption. But all of that can be spelled out on the foster home application, and anything, we're grateful for help. There's sometimes just for weekends when at the vet clinic, we have people coming in at the vet clinic all weekend to feed and clean. But if it's a holiday or something and we don't have a lot of people to come in, we'd love for them to go to a foster home for the weekend to get some extra special care too. So it can be as little as a weekend or as much as they can give us.
Besides fostering, is there other ways people can volunteer and be a part of the movement that you've created in Charlotte County?
Absolutely. So something that we've been noticing a little bit of an uptick in recently are members of the community hosting fundraisers. So this is huge as well, because a lot of us on the board spend a lot of our time, most of our time, fundraising. So if anyone wants to host a fundraiser or, contribute any part of their business or their daily life where proceeds can go to support the animal shelter, those are huge, huge things for us as well. We did just have this past weekend a yard sale in St. George, which was really great. So many community members came out to support. We get donations all the time of items that folks will donate to us that we can then sell and make some money on. So anything like that is really, really excellent right now.
Now, in terms of donations, aside from financial donations, are there any donations that you can take at the shelter as well from other animal lovers in the community?
Food and litter are always welcome. We do sometimes get blankets and towels and things dropped off. Right now we've kind of got a good supply of those, but we are always in need of cat food and cat litter. Toys, treats, anything that makes a cat a little happier to be at the vet clinic.
What are the biggest challenges you find right now with feeling like you are limited financially? What does that do to what you're able to do in terms of care?
We never had to think twice before. Now, when we get a call, we still say yes, but then we kind of go into panic mode. How are we going to pay for this? We just had a cat surrendered that needed dental work, and that he had to have most of his teeth removed because he had been astray for a while, and so that cost over $1,000. And we never want to get to the point where we have to say no, we can't afford it, but we're not there yet. But it's on our mind all the time whether or not we can afford this. But
it occupies a lot of brain space too, especially for someone like Sherry who works at the vet clinic and is also on the board of the animal shelter. And just for anyone on the board, for example, we will get a message just last week about a cat that someone was wondering if we could take, and then it's an hour back and forth in our group chat trying to figure out, we really don't want to say no, but everyone's full, and what do we do? And really spending a lot of time trying to figure out a plan in situations like that we don't anticipate particularly. So it definitely prevents us from being able to spend our time and energy on other things like supporting the future building and fundraising for that, so that we can have a long-term larger space so that we can help more animals in the end.
And that's it. As you work towards this goal of having a building, is it a juggling act with foster homes? And I imagine most of your board members are also foster homes as well.
Yes, we're all foster homes, and that's what happens with the overflow when we can't take any more cats at the clinic, or if they're ill, we don't want them being at the clinic, so we take them into our homes. So we do have some lovely foster homes, but we just don't have enough, and it's kind of limiting for us what we can do right now.
You were talking before a little bit about how around $6,000 a month is expenses, but it can
On a
go
good
up
month.
to, on a good month. It can go up to 12
Yep.
when there are
Yep.
outbreaks of diseases.
Yep.
Can you tell us a little bit about? I don't know if people fully understand the extent to which an outbreak of an illness can cause this financial increase.
Well, this is the first time in quite a few years we've had to deal with it, but it's called panleukopenia. Every shelter right now that has been hit with it or getting hit with it right now, Fredericton SPCA closed for 3 weeks a couple of months ago because they were dealing with it. They have to put all the animals in quarantine. All of them have to be tested. The tests themselves are expensive. They're almost $100 for the test to find out if they have it, and then the treatment for it. But it's overwhelming when you get that because we're already kind of operating, putting out fires, and then this hits. St. John, one of the stray organizations, is dealing with that, and they had to get like 90 cats tested. It just is a huge financial drain, but not only that, it's a mental drain on all of us because there's been days where we've had to euthanize 3 kittens a day, and just doing that at the end of a tough work day, euthanizing those little kittens it's really taxing, and it's hard. This animal shelter gig is a very hard one, but we all work and give it our all. We never give up. We never say no. We just keep going. But it's when illnesses like that strike, and that panleukopenia, it attacks them in a terrible way. It goes into their bone marrow. It goes into their digestive tracts. It eats apart their digestive system, so they can't absorb food. So they're constantly losing weight and having diarrhea to the point where they can't survive. So it's not a pretty way to go, and it's, like I said, it's 100% avoidable if people vaccinated their cats, and maybe someday we'll get there if, cities and towns make it a bylaw that maybe your cats need to be vaccinated. We're on the right track with rabies right now. Everybody has to have their pets vaccine for rabies, but we haven't got to the other core vaccines yet. But
that is also the benefit of adopting from a shelter like the St. George Animal Shelter, is that when you do adopt a kitten or a cat, you know that they're fully vaccinated and they're fixed and hopefully are good to go. So.
And that's it. Could you touch a little bit on that for someone at home right now who might be interested in adding a pet to their family, how they can do that via the St. George Animal Shelter?
Absolutely. So you can get a hold of us any way. We're on Facebook. Our phone number's on our website. If you reach out, we have an adoption application. I'll let Sherry speak a little bit to that. I think we have kittens and cats. There's a different fee for each.
We've tried to just have an adoptable album on our Facebook page so that all the current cats, we were using a pet finder service, but it wasn't easily updatable, and people were applying for cats that were already adopted. So we've gone basically strictly to Facebook album called Adoptables, and we tried to tell as much as we can and know about the cats that we have, trying to team them up with just the right parents. And honestly, the heartwarming stories we get back daily, like people just constantly send us pictures and say how much it changed their life, and that's what keeps us going every day when I share those pictures with the group, and like, oh my God, that's so cute. And it just, when they say it changed their life, then we're like, okay, we're on the right track here.
I do have to ask, because I can imagine the hardships you go through too. What draws you to keep doing this work? Why is it so important for you to dedicate your time and your heart to what you do?
Yeah, I think the root of it is that we're all cat lovers.
Yes.
And
Crazy cat lovers.
Yes, exactly, yeah. Yeah, and I think to Sherry's point, those little glimmers that come now and then of those stories that we hear from people about how adopting a cat changed their life, or we share these on Facebook a lot. We recently, a couple of weeks ago, there was this really adorable story. There was a dog that came into the vet clinic who picked out his own cat to bring home, and that family ended up going home with a new cat that day, and it was the dog's best friend. And we get updates from folks after those events happen, of the dog and the cat snuggled up together on the couch, and people just talking about how it brings joy to their lives and makes them happy. And especially for folks who are maybe older or live alone and really want a little bit of company, it can really make a huge difference in their lives. And so sometimes just when we start to feel like we're run a little bit too ragged, a story like that will come along, and then we're kind of reminded of why we're doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
If you had some final thoughts for people watching at home right now, any final message you'd like to give them? I'll start with you, Rebecca. What would it be?
Absolutely. I think number one would be get involved in any way you can. If you love cats, or if you want to give back to your community, or if you're just looking for something to keep you busy, there's definitely lots to do, and we are taking volunteers who are willing to contribute anything in terms of finances or actions or time or anything like that. Right now, that's really what we need to keep us going, and seeing the light at the end of the tunnel is important for us right now. And we've gotten to a bit of a space where it's hard to see that light, when we're trying to just get by day to day. So the more help we have from the community, the better, and the more likely we are to reach our goal quickly, which is, building this building so that we can help more animals.
And that's the 2025, fall 2025
September
goal?
2025 is our goal, yeah.
And Sherry, if you can reach people with some final words right now at home, what would you like to tell them?
Just that we are here if they need us. If they are ever in a position that they need to surrender, there's no questions asked. We take and we love and we'll care for the animals. And on the other side, if you do have any spare time, any spare funds, anything that could help us keep going, it's just so important for our community to have this animal shelter. And a couple of times when things have been really tough, we just kind of talk back and forth, and are we beating our heads against the wall? And then when these sick cats come in and we nurse them back to health, and they go to these wonderful families with little children, and we think, okay, we're on the right track, we're doing it, but we can't do it alone, and we need as much help from the community as we can get.
Well, I hope that this show reaches a lot of people. I hope that they go to stgeorgeanimalshelter.ca, find where to donate, or at least find where they could foster or help in any kind of way. I appreciate your time so much, but I can't thank you enough as an animal lover to other animal lovers for the work you do. We're so grateful that you're in the community.
And thank you so much for giving us a platform to reach the community and talk about this. It means a lot.
You are welcome anytime.
Thank you, Vicki.
Wonderful.
My guests today have been Rebecca Eldridge and Sherry Gallagher-Eldridge from the St. George Animal Shelter. I'm Vicki Hogarth. Thank you for watching Southwest Magazine.
Southwest Magazine is a news and public affairs production of CHCO Television.